Okay, good afternoon or good evening. It depends on when you're watching this video. Um, Thank you for joining me. I'm going through chapter 13. We did go through chapter 13 before during the workshops and also during a lecture, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It's very much theory based, so I don't think there's much to actually explain and so on, but I'm just going to go through it to highlight a couple of things for you. Okay, as you know, chapter 13 forms part of unit 7, and it's all about planning the project. And then the next chapter, chapter 14, is all about planning the cash flow. So you will see how this relates to the next chapter. So just basically starting with the introduction, the tender period is usually a busy time. It is high pressure. It's a high pressure process, and is a bit of an anticlimax after submitting a tender. The client also wants to compare tenders to the client also wants to compare tenders to estimates as soon as possible. Okay, that's understandable. Then if the tenders are too high, design changes will have to be made. Let's check for mistakes. Client would want to take the position as soon as possible. Advisors and contractors find it difficult not to say yes to the client. That's always a difficult thing. This chapter focuses on the planning for this and ensure that the contract proceeds in a timely fashion. Okay. Then planning within a large organization. We've got your pre-contract planning, you've got your contract planning, and then you've got your master program that is constantly being reviewed. Okay, then we've got this little diagram on for figure 13.1 on page 272. Please just note that the people involved in this process is usually the contract manager in the master program, the site-based planning engineers, same with these and these, but it's basically a very straightforward thing of your master program being scrolled down or with different levels, where you have your stage program, and then you've got your weekly program, and then your 1 to 2 weekly program. So it's just your stage program is your master program divided further into stages, and then you've got your weekly program, which is divided into weeks, and then a weekly programs broken down even further to 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, your pre-contract planning usually involves on an award of the contract. The pre-contract planning process commences. It may have up to 6 weeks or 6 days, depends on how quickly client wants the contractor on site. The pre-contract planning may involve the pre-contract meeting and arrangements for commencing of work, and then placing orders for subcontractors and suppliers. Construction method statements it's asked, and then the master program preparation of the required schedules, preparation of the contract budgets, and then the preparation and approval of construction health and safety plan. No two companies are the same. That everyone has their own style. Then the pre-contract meetings, the main functions of these meetings is to set the arrangements of the administration, whether it is between the client and his agents or with the contractor. The contractor will hold his own meetings and will delegate responsibility to those entrusted to it. Okay, then we get to the contractor pre-contract meeting. Usually there's a bit of an announcement and a big do within the construction company if it's a big thing that they've won the tender. And then the following personnel usually attends a meeting, an actual planning meeting. It's the chief estimator, the contract manager, accompanied by a chief QS and the office manager. There's a certain amount of handover from the tender process, or the people involved in the tender process, to the actual guys implementing the contract. Okay, then you've got the inaugural meeting. is usually attended by the architect or engineer, the professional team, client's representative, and so on. This is that long, interesting meetings that I spoke about during the lectures, that you go through basic checklist: who's who on the project, who's the health and safety guy, who's the site agent, who's the contracts manager, etc. The typical items that may be in the agenda, such as in this meeting, is given on page 227. Okay, cool. Guys, okay, I just retype these, the following slide, to have it nice and neat, but then that list that's on page 278, you guys can go through, but this is typical of the items that one would encounter on a project like this, like the tax exemptions, insurances, notices, commencements, safety management arrangements, programs and methods, site boundaries and access, setting out arrangements, working hours, contracts, tip and cleaning roads, communication and correspondence, progress meetings, valuations and payments, emergency procedures, and any other business, date of the next meeting. Okay, so basic administrative stuff. Okay, then placing orders with subcontractors and suppliers. So there should be a proper procedure for that. It's either done in-house, contractor conditions, or specific subcontractors arrangements. You have appointment letters for those, and you usually have contracts. In South Africa, we've got, under JBCC, for instance, you've got specific subcontracts that you sign with the subcontractors. Then you've got the site layout planning. It's an essential part of the pre-contract planning. The client's representative may ask for such a plan for approval. Then the allocation of preliminaries is essential. The budget of the P's&G's may not be exceeded. And then just on that P's&G's, that's very important, because this is where most of your profit will lie, is within your P's&G's. The quicker you're off site, the more profit you will make. And then the site layout plan, usually checklist, includes the location of the offices, location of site services, temporary rows, hard standing, and access, location of plant, equipment, material storage, etc. This is all sometimes asked by the consultants as well, because it is always important just to check whether there isn't any problems with how the site layout is designed. And then the master and other programs. So we get in this next section, we're just going to look at what each program is. As mentioned before, the master program is essential to coordinate all the other programs. All the other programs are based on the master program. It is the basis of the contractor's budget control and financial forecast. Not only the contractors, but also the principal agent or the engineer or the client's representative. It may also be important towards the contract. Okay, then I just inserted an example, like JBCC doesn't ask for a work breakdown structure, although the GCC, NEC, and the FIDIC does ask for a breakdown like that. Okay, then you've got target programs, subcontractor programs, procurement programs, etc., which is based on the above. Okay, so your basic master program, all of you should be familiar by now, is from this example that they included here is your access road, reduced levels, drainage outfall, early drainage, and so forth. So it's your site establishment that you've got there, then you've got your substructure, your superstructure. So it's a very broad program that gives you a start and an end with specific items in between when they should finish. Then you get your target programs, which is based on your master program. So you can see this is your master program, and then this is your target program. So you're aiming to be finished before that item actually completes. So this is your target program, this is your master program when you have to be finished. So this scheduler inserted a buffer of about 5 weeks. Okay, then you've got subcontractor programs. This is just you'll see this is specific to the subcontractors. So you have your piling tests contract, and then it gives a guideline towards a specific item, and then your piling contractor has to be finished by a certain date, and usually your date will be somewhere there. Okay, the procurement program. Okay, you'll see this is now a little bit different. So you have your different items that you need to procure: contract award, mobilization, health and safety, sheet piling, steel, glazing, metal roof, lists, precast, brickwork, and supply. So you can see this is a little bit more divided into the different trades. You will see there's little contract awards, little diamonds like these, which is usually your stage gates. Okay, so mobilization, you've got your item there listed, your health and safety, it has to be done there, and then you've got your steel sheeting has to be ordered here already. And then figure it refers to the next one that we're going to look at. See figure 13.7 for detailed program for procurement of steelwork. Okay, so this just gives you a bit of an overview of when the items has to be in. So you can see there's a couple of triangles here at the bottom. You have your pre-contract period, which is here, and then you've contract commencement is on this line drawn in there, and then your information required. So you can see there's a couple of arrows here for information required, and then place order as well. So you have specific guidelines on what needs to happen, and then just a black arrow backwards to show you when the work is actually supposed to be done or start. So like for instance, let's look at steel work. Information required, it might be your bending schedule or your design, and then it has to be ordered by this date, so that you can actually have most of your steel here so that they can start erecting the steel also. Okay, so that's explained a little bit more in the next slide. So procurement of your steel, so here you've got your pre-contract, so you've got your contract commencement, information required. Okay, that's now your designs, procurement contract. So then you sign your contract with your supplier, then you place your order. Okay, so there's a bit of you get this is now the quotation periods from the suppliers, subcontractors, etc. Then you place your order over here, and then you prepare your shop drawings, usually appraise the drawings, and then drawing approval, so it's approved, and your materials ordered. Okay, and then you've got a manufacturing time which starts here, and okay, the previous one, that commencement was actually this date when it had to commence but that was for the manufacturing. The actual erection only starts here, so start on site. So you see there's your stage gate, you have your delivery time there, and then you've got your actual steel erection there and steel completion there. Okay, so very straightforward procurement program. Finishing operations. Okay, I'm not going to go through this. This is very straightforward. It's as per the previous programs. It just shows you what has to be procured and how to go about it, and what specific time gate you're building into your project. Okay, then your requirements for your schedules. There's a couple of basic items that you need to have in that. This is where most of contracts claims occur. Is usually contracts where design is not complete at tender stage, and then the requirements goal is to smooth running of the contract, and then the architect has to provide adequate information timeously. Then the onus is on the contractor to give notice to the architect, and no such dates are if no such dates are given. Okay, so that's the RFIs which I spoke about in the lecture. One has to be realistic though. Paint colors can't be given 1 week within the contract. It's just a little bit too optimistic, but you need to timeously ask for your information that you can still order your material in time. Okay, so the schedule continued. The contractor's internal schedules. You have key material schedules, plant schedules, and domestic subcontractors that you need to think of. Your client-based information requirements, a contractor schedule. Client needs to know when you're going to erect that. For instance, if tenants have to be moved, if he has to supply you with certain information by a certain time, drawings and information release schedules, requests for information sheets. This is essential and extremely important. Okay, information required. Okay, so the next few slides is just an example of your basic request for information. So this is just a summary sheet which shows us which items were requested, it was requested from whom, requested on which date, what lead time, when did you give it out, the question, and when you actually received it. Okay, and when you want to start on site. So date required, you require the information by the 15th and start on that date. Okay, then the breakdown. Your request for information sheet is you've got vegan or the which contract, the contract, basic contract information. Then you get the information is required by who, to whom, and issued to whom. So and the information required, and then you've got places where the information when it's actually supplied to be filled in. And then the information is required by a certain date, the response, when it's received, further action is needed, and then just signatures. This is a very basic form that has a lot of value, especially if you're getting onto a site and you need to put in claims. This really does assist in just easing the claims and not delaying it or so. Okay, then you've got contract planning. Contract planning is a short planning, day-to-day, week-to-week activities. It involves the monitoring master program and updating the as-built or program and reporting on the progress on the health and safety plan. Basically, the program is divided into bite-sized pieces. Short-term program sequence studies may be carried out. The toolbox talks are an essential tool to convey the messages to the workforce. And then stage program and short-term programs are developed. Okay, then the objectives of the short-term program is basically to assist the coordination operation of short-term operations. Master contract program is under constant review, and then the highlight information required. The assess key material requirements, keep senior site management informed on the short-term position. So stage programs, for instance, now for foundation. So you can see it's your previous program just divided into further operational bits and pieces. Then you've got your short-term program, which is that same items just divided further into more detail. So you can see here it is actually divided into weeks and not months or in years or so. And that is my story. I think it's very straightforward. You guys will have to be able to compile a RFI for me, and you will have to be able to explain the different programs or scheduling methods that we discussed in this chapter. Thank you very much, and we'll talk again.